Hi, I'm John Ray, and welcome to the Thriving Podcast. I'm your host and intuitive coach, dedicated to amplifying your intuition, transforming your mind, and igniting your inner magic to create a life you're obsessed with. 2 years ago, I was burnt out as fuck in a toxic relationship and a successful tech career that I just wasn't happy in anymore. I left it all behind with no plan, and now I'm running my own business, immersed in purpose and passion, happily married to my soulmate, and living out my dreams every single day. And if you're badass enough to be listening to this podcast, then you're already on the fast track to doing the same, babe. On this podcast, we'll dive into all things life, business, heart, mind, body, and soul, empowering you to up-level your life and embody your happiest, healthiest, and hottest self. It's time to make idealistic your new realistic, because you're not just here to survive, you're here to thrive. Happy Thriving Thursday, my loves. I hope you are having an amazing day and week so far. It's like a half week for me because we got back on Tuesday from Paris. If you follow me on Instagram, then you already know that we were in Paris. I don't think I mentioned it here on the podcast yet, but Sindri and I went to Paris for Valentine's Day. So we had like a little long weekend trip. It wasn't for Valentine's Day. I mean, it was like we went over Valentine's weekend, but it was actually like what we decided to do for our Christmas gift for each other, because I was like, we haven't done like any fun trips since we got together, basically. Like we met on like a fun travel trip in London, but then basically since we got together, we like have to travel so much to see each other that it's like we haven't actually gone on any fun traveling trips recently, and that's something that we both really love to do. And I was like, we deserve this. We need to prioritize this and prioritize just like doing more fun things. Because that was another thing we kind of realized is like, we just like individually weren't doing as much like fun things on our own since we got together, like when we're not together, because to go out and do something, it inherently means that like we can't hang out with each other, you know? So that was just something we realized like late last year. Like I realized like the reason why I don't want to like go do things is because that automatically means like I don't get to spend time with you, you know, like on the weekend, because it's like during the week, like we're both busy, like we still like call each other and stuff, but we don't get like a ton of quality time during the week. So the weekend, it's like we want quality time together. But it's this thing of like, well, for us to spend quality time together when we're apart, you know, you're just home on your computer or on your phone, which like, yes, we're still like together and hanging out with each other, but it's a different energy, you know? So it's still preventing you from like going out and like being with other people and stuff, or just doing more fun activities. You know what I mean? So even though, again, like we're really good about the time we spend together, we really prioritize it. And when we are home, like again, when we're apart, we play games and we really try to, you know, make it as fun as possible and not just make it like, oh, we just like call and we're bored or whatever. But yeah, it was just something I noticed. I had this desire to go out and like do more kind of fun activities, like outside of the house or just like traveling or whatever like I used to do. And I was like, why did I stop doing that kind of stuff? And I like had this epiphany that I was like, oh, it's because I don't like, we only have so much time together and I'm not going to put that stuff over time with you, you know, but there's not enough time for all of it, or I wasn't making time for all of it, whatever, you know. But anyway, so we had that kind of realization and I was like, okay, we need to prioritize more fun. And of course, obviously, it is so much easier when we're together. When we're together, we have a blast, right? So it was kind of like, that's just the way it is. And we're just like working with it as we navigate. We are hopefully getting to the end of the process soon, though. Side note, I don't think I've updated here on the podcast, actually. Yeah, I actually don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast, have I? I must have. But if I haven't, a few weeks ago, we got our phase 1 approval for Sindri's green card application, which is so exciting. So basically, that is like the longest and most like unpredictable phase. What's the word I'm looking for? Like the least consistent phase in terms of like how long it takes to get that part approved. So we finally got our approval after 16 months, almost a year and a half, or maybe less than a year and a half, but over a year. No, yeah, almost a year and a half after we submitted. Yeah, almost a year and a half after we got. So we got that approval, which is amazing. And then it had to get transferred to like another agency or whatever. I don't know. And that's normally supposed to take 30 to 45 days, but it happened for us in like a week. And I was like, I really feel, I feel like I'm like, okay, we did our time, you know? And I've obviously been very consciously aware this entire time of like, from a manifestation perspective of, okay, why is this not happening? Why am I resisting this? What don't I want to let this in? Da da da. And there's been like so many layers and levels of like letting love in and expanding capacity for joy and safety and all this stuff that I've had to really work through. And I just didn't realize how deep it was. I didn't realize like how much my, I guess, subconscious just really wasn't ready for like my life to be that good. For us to be together all the time. And it's funny, like I knew because it was like, we used to be like, wow, I can't believe someday we're going to just live together all the time. Because when we're together, it's just like everything is so amazing. And we would say like, how could it be possible for life to be that good? Like, no wonder we have to be kept apart. There has to be like a balance of how much amazingness and joy and love you can experience in your life. And like, obviously I know it's not true, like abundance mindset. But when I would have those thoughts and we would say things like that, I made us stop saying them. So I was like, we can't be talking like that because that's exactly why it's not happening. But back when we would say that, I would be like, okay, literally, this is exactly why it's not happening. Because we actually do feel like, oh, this is too good, right? Too good to be true. Like there must be some kind of limit on it. And so, yeah, I knew the whole time. I was like, I can feel like I'm not actually ready for this. I want it so bad, but I knew that I was resisting it subconsciously. You know what I mean? And I was actively like working through all of that. I mean, I always am, but it was funny because I said to him, I was like, man, sorry, this took so long. Like, sorry for resisting your love. But on the bright side, we have had momentum and progress, and I do feel energetically very close to it now. And so I was like, I feel like that was prolonged because of like energetics. There was too much resistance, but now that we've broken through that, I feel like it's going to move really quick and actually like more quickly than the average for this phase. You know, I'm like, we did our time and now it's going to move really fast. So we got it transferred. We have to submit now like these sponsorship forms and like a bunch of like tax info and stuff like that. So we're actually submitting that tonight. And then that will be submitted. And then it should just be honestly like a few more months. So we're really hoping by like May that will be approved. He'll get the green card and he'll be able to be moving here. Here, I say here, I'm in Iceland right now, but moving to Buffalo to live with me by summer, which is so exciting. It does feel surreal, but it is starting to feel more and more real. And it's been really nice spending so much time here. Although definitely I do feel the effects being in a different environment, like not having like my like spaces and stuff. But like just being with him all the time, it goes by so fast. I can't believe, like I was like, oh, it's gonna be such a long trip. I'm there for like 5 weeks and I'm already over halfway through. And I'm like, what the heck? I feel like we just got started. But anyway, lots of fun, good updates with that. I don't remember like how I switched topics, but from Paris to that. Oh, I think because I was just talking about like why, like us going on fun trips and like whatever. But anyway, yeah, so we just got back from Paris. It was amazing. I've always wanted to go to Paris. I've always just felt so drawn. I just love the vibes. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people feel that way, but I don't know. I feel like I have a lot of like subtle little ties to like French in very surface level stereotypical ways. Nothing deep. Like a French person would probably be annoyed by me saying this. I don't know, but literally I'm freaking obsessed with cafes. They are my happy place. I could just live in literally I would be content to just go to a new cafe every day and just chill and just have a cozy drink and just like be like, that's my dream. Like, I love cafes. And so literally I've never seen anywhere with a cafe culture like Paris. There are cafes everywhere you look, like just every corner, every street, like multiple, like all over the place. And they all have like the same menu. Well, like different, but like they all have like these staples and they all have crepes and they all have cozy drinks and they all have hot chocolate. And I'm just like obsessed. I'm like, literally, this is my heaven. This is my heaven. Like crepes are like my favorite food. Literally at the brunch that my mom put on for Sindri and me after our like mini wedding, like when we officially got married, but it was like the small ceremony. And I was like, can we just go back to the house and have brunch? And she did it really, really nice. It was really sweet. But I was like, can we have crepes, please? Can we make breakfast crepes and dessert crepes? I freaking love crepes. They are my favorite food. And she made crepes and it was amazing. But literally, I love crepes. Like, so I'm like, I love bread. I love chocolate. And I feel like it's like stereotypical to be like, oh yeah, I love Paris because I love cafes, bread, and chocolate. But genuinely, it was all around. Bread, chocolate, cafes, and crepes were everywhere you look. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. And I just love the whole vibe, like just the open air cafes and just everything being outdoors. Like the cafes had blankets on the chairs outside because like in February, it was just normal for everyone to be sitting outside, like being outside and I don't know. I loved the vibe. It was so cool. The architecture and buildings were beautiful. We had a great time, and I can't wait to go back. The Eiffel Tower was so epic, like literally so cool. I saw a lot of people talking about it being overrated, and it was not overrated at all. It's literally one of like the most unique things I've ever seen in my life. It was so cool. I can't. We're already like, oh my god, we're totally going back in the summer because I think it would just be like a whole different vibe, and it would be so fun and beautiful. And like the only thing that was kind of a bummer was thankfully we had pretty good weather. It was pretty cold, but thankfully we had no rain, no snow, so it wasn't terrible. And it got a little warmer as time went on while we were there. We got like 100,000 steps that total. It was like 20,000 steps a day. It was amazing. Helped us work off all the pastries and crepes and hot chocolates. The food was amazing also. Like every restaurant, the food was amazing. And like I'm obsessed with food. Like honestly, I feel like when I travel, literally all I want to do when I travel is like just eat and explore new cafes and like see pretty things. But like the food is a big part of it for me, and I'm very big, especially when I'm traveling, of like I'm not wasting a meal. You know, so we would like there were a couple times we sat at a restaurant or a cafe, and then I'd be like, no. And we'd be like, this doesn't pass the vibe check. Like, let's leave. Like, I'm not wasting a cafe visit at a cafe that doesn't pass the vibe check. Or like, I'm not wasting a meal, you know, at a place that like I don't feel like is going to have a good meal, you know? So we were like really good at vibe checking places and really following our intuition with that. And we never had a bad meal. And it was so cool because we literally never even did research on like anywhere we were going. Actually, the one time we did research somewhere to go, it ended up being kind of disappointing. So take with that what you will, but literally everywhere else, we just walked around and we're like, hey, this looks good. And then we would just check it. And also I made a rule of thumb that literally never let us down. If there are flowers on the establishment, 10 out of 10. A+, vibe check, pass. It will be amazing. That literally never let us down. If there were flowers, it was amazing. And that even went for a little street crepe stand by the Eiffel Tower, where you would like not really expect it would be that great, but it was an amazing experience. We ended up talking to the guy that was running. He was very friendly. We told him our whole love story, how we met on Discord, like went into it. We told him about Survivor games. Like turns out like his mom who was there with him, like actually watches Survivor. It was so funny. The crepe was delicious. And so if you go to Paris, follow the flowers. They will not steer you wrong. It's like follow the spiders in Harry Potter, but nah, I think that was for bad thing. I don't know why I made that comparison. It's not similar at all. Follow the butterflies. Was that the Harry Potter? Oh no, that was, he said, Ron was like, why is it follow the spiders? Why can't it be follow the butterflies? Yeah, it has nothing to do with the flower thing that I'm talking about. I don't know why that came to mind. But anyway, yeah, so loved that. The food was so good. And also, like, you didn't feel like shit after eating the food. And I really feel like, I don't know, like, I feel like they just, like, use better ingredients. And it's just, like, not the same as going out to eat in America. We ate out for every meal. Normally, if I ate out for every meal for, like, 4 days, I would feel like absolute crap. And I felt totally normal. So I feel like that just goes to speak to the quality of the food, which was amazing. So I just loved it all. And the other funny thing is, like, I post about this on Instagram too, but everyone and their mothers always talking, every time I meet anyone, they hear my name. They're like, oh, is it French? Oh, are you French? Oh, it must be French. Oh, Jean-Marie, blah, 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 right? Immediately, everyone like I've ever met. And so I just find that funny. Because I'm not French. My name's not French. I mean, like, my mom's not French. She didn't make my name to sound French. But it does sound French, right? Like, Jean-Marie. I don't know how to say it. A girl I know on Instagram, she messaged me and she was like, she's from Belgium. And she's like, this is how I think we would say it. But I don't know if I could repeat it how she said it. She said, like, basically, Jean-Marie. Jean-Marie. Yeah. Jean-Marie. I can't do the R part. Jean-Marie. See, I always turn the R into an L. That's not how it's supposed to go. Jean-Marie. That was a little better. I feel like it's like in the throat. Anyway, so I just thought that was funny. I was like, I feel like I'm like French in another life. Like I'm meant to be here. Like I have a French name already, French sounding name. I love everything about like the vibe and the culture, at least as it relates to food and being outside. And what was the other thing I wanted to talk about? Oh, I did. So like that's the other thing, like I said, I've always been drawn to Frenchness. Like I've always loved the vibes, I've loved the language, the sound of it. Like I took French in school, like everyone else took Spanish. I don't know why. Like Spanish was just way more popular, I think, because they were like, oh, it's like, way more relevant to know because we're like close to Mexico and there's more people that speak Spanish in the US than French. And I don't know, it was just way more popular. I think a lot of people said it was easier too, but I was like, no, French. French sounds so cool. Like French sounded way cooler than Spanish. So I took French for 4 years in school. And I mean, I was a good student. I was really smart. So I like got pretty good at the language. I was like trying to brush up on Duolingo before we went. And it's funny because I wasn't really motivated to because Duolingo was like way too easy. And so I was like, oh, okay, like I know enough, like whatever, it's not gonna make that much of a difference. But then when I got there, I really wish that I could speak it more and understand it more because I wanted so badly to just like not make them speak English, like you just feel so lame when like they come up to you and speak French and then you just like, sorry, do you speak English? Especially because I was like, oh, I kind of could. Like I like prepared myself so many times to like ask for a bottle of water and like say the whole sentence in French. I knew how to say stuff, but I was just scared to like use it. So now that I'm back, I feel really motivated to like do my Duolingo more seriously and prepare for next time when we go back. So I can actually speak French more and hopefully understand people more. But I still was able to communicate a little bit and understand a lot of signs and things that did help us, which was fun and cool. And I felt like it did just add an element of familiarity, which is nice when you're traveling in like a completely unfamiliar place. But yeah, so that was really cool. And the other thing I was going to say was, the only bummer was at the Eiffel Tower, all of the like gardens and beautiful fountains and stuff were like all under construction and shut off because it's winter. So that's why we're like, okay, we definitely have to go back in summer because this is like going to be unbelievably gorgeous. And there were just all these like gates up and like construction signs, which is like a little detracting from the vibe, but it was still amazing. We had a great time and we were just manifesting left and right. I got to share the story. I shared it a little on my Instagram stories because I was like recapping the whole trip. If you want to go look, I have a bunch of photos and little mini stories and stuff I have a highlight on my page. But okay, first of all, whenever we're together, especially when we travel, Sindri and me, like we just are manifesting machines. I think it's just like the vibe is literally so high when we're together. Like we're just so magnetic. We just always expect things to go well, and so they do. And so the first night we got there, it was Valentine's Day. We got there on Friday. And I had been reading online when we were like planning the trip. We didn't really plan much, but we made the general itinerary of stuff we wanted to look at and see. And everyone was saying Valentine's Day on a Friday night, you need reservations. Everywhere's going to be booked up. Good luck getting into a good restaurant. Like these places book out like months in advance, blah, blah, blah. And we did not, of course, plan anything. We didn't make any reservations, didn't look up any restaurants. We just got there. We were just vibing, going with the flow. And then, so we were like exploring the first day. And then we couldn't check into our Airbnb until like 4. So then we went and checked into our Airbnb and then we were exhausted because we had gotten up at like 4 a.m. for the flight that morning. So we took a nap and we woke up around like 6 or 7. And we're like, okay, we should try to figure out what we're going to do for dinner. And so we started doing like a little bit of research of just restaurants that were, I don't even know where we were looking. I think just in the area that were in before, just because we were like over there already. I don't really know like why we were looking in that area specifically. Well, we just like Googled like, restaurants in this area and just started looking through. And like, of course, every restaurant had no reservations open because it was literally like 7 o'clock on Friday night on Valentine's Day. And then like the fourth one that I clicked on, it showed that like you could make a reservation. It was all in French, but based off like context clues, I was like, wait a minute, like it looks like it's actually letting me. And I was like, wait a minute, this is really sketch because I looked it up and they had really great reviews. Like multiple people in the reviews were like, this is the best meal that I had in France. And I was like, why would they have reservations open? That's really weird. Something's off. And then it turns out it was actually a form to just sign up for the wait list, like in case someone dropped or something. So we signed up for it and we were like, okay, well, let's just get ready and go and just go there. And then we'll just walk around and like hopefully find something. So we just got ready to go. We had signed up on the wait list for 8 o'clock or 8:30, I think. And then we just like got there We're walking down the street, just looking around like at restaurants and just like walking towards that restaurant. Like that was like the destination we had. And we were just like looking along the way as we walked to see if we saw anything else. So we just kept walking to the restaurant, like as if that's where we're eating, even though we didn't have a reservation and we had not gotten a message about the wait list. And then we got there and we went inside and Sindri was just like, how can we get a table for two? And she's like, do you have a reservation? And he's like, no. And it was funny because earlier I had said, he's like, well, let's just go and, just like, we'll find it. And I was like, I feel so dumb, like going, like everyone's going to be like, they're going to be like, do you have a reservation? And we're going to be like, no. And we're going to look so dumb, like for not having a reservation on Valentine's Day, And I was really proud of him because he totally like put my own message back at me. And he was like, hey, let the world tell us no. And I was like, you're so right. Why am I going to like let the fear of looking dumb for not having a reservation stop us from a possible great experience? So props to Sindri for that one, because then, we went. And again, then he wasn't afraid of looking dumb. He went in and said, hey, can we get a table? She's like, do you have a reservation? He's like, nope. And then she literally looked at the screen for like 2 seconds and then was like, she said something to a guy next to her. I don't know what their little exchange was, but she was like confirming something. And then she looked back up and she was like, we have one table for you. You're really lucky. You're really lucky we have this table. Like she said, you're really lucky at least twice. And there was literally a table right there for like one table in the whole restaurant. It was like, could not have been more perfect. And I was like, oh my God, like we literally did reserve it. Oh, I forgot an important part. So before we left, or before we even looked up the restaurant, and we were saying like, oh man, hopefully we're not shit out of luck on finding a restaurant for dinner. And I said, hey, no worries. We'll just hire all the spirit committees to help us out. And I was like, hey, we'll just hire the reservations committee, the dinner committee, the Valentine's committee, the Paris, France travel vacation committee, like every committee possibly that could be related to that experience. I hired them all. And I was like, hey, can you like just help us out and like get us a really awesome dinner for Valentine's Day tonight? Thank you so much. That was what we did. And then we went, so like, it's like literally that is the manifestation formula, right? Like you put in the request, you set the intention, you take the action, and then you expect it, and you keep going and taking the action and showing up as if you already know it's done, right? And that's what we did. We were like, okay, find the restaurant, we're going to go, walk in, bam, 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 table right there for us. And then we made sure to take time to thank the committees and give so much gratitude. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much for coming through. We had the Bestie in the house because we were on the side because the restaurants in France are really, really cramped. And we had the seat all the way on the end. So first of all, we were next to a window, and also we had an extra table next to us. So we had more space. And the meal was amazing. And the whole restaurant was packed literally all night. So like the fact that that table opened for us, it was just like the best magical manifestation. It was such a perfect Valentine's Day. I got a little rose from the restaurant. It was so cute. The food was delicious. And it just set our trip off on that note. And we were just like, everything was working out perfectly the whole trip. And again, I feel like when we're together in general, things just always work out so well, especially when we're traveling and like on vacation. Just like things literally always work out so well. Like little things, like we always time things perfectly with our flight. We manifest like parking spots right in front of the buildings, just little things like that always happening. So literally I was so proud of us, and I was really proud of Sindri because I was a little bit like not fully embodying my message. Like I was a little worried. I was like, oh, we don't have a reservation. He was like, hey, let the world tell us no. Let's just go to the restaurant and see what happens. And it worked out. So confidence is everything, guys. You just got to expect it, believe it, and it will manifest. And I was seeing angel numbers this whole trip too. I mean, there were so many other little stories, but one other story to like, this is perfect because that was like kind of like the very beginning of the trip. And then to cap off the end of the trip. So we were flying like this Icelandic budget airline, and they assigned us seats not next to each other. We were like, on the way there, they did it too, but we were both windows at least. And we were right, like I was right behind him. So we were like, because it's fine because it was 6 a.m. So we were sleeping anyway. So it was actually nice to both have a window. But on the way back, they gave us both middles, and we were still like one in front of the other. But I was like, what the heck? I was like, okay, at least we had windows before, but now we're not only not sitting together, but we both have a middle seat. Like, no, thank you. I don't want that. And then I was like, actually, you know what? Yeah, I don't want that. So I'm going to manifest that not being the case, and I'm going to manifest us getting seats next to each other. This is literally at the airport when I realized this. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to hire the airport committee, the travel committee, the flight committee, the seating reservation committee, everything. And I was just like, hey, can we please have seats next to each other on the flight? Thank you so much. And that was it. And I didn't I didn't complain about it anymore. I wasn't like, oh, I wish we had seats together, because I was like, it's done. And then we literally, you guys, we get on the plane and we get into our seats, and it's a full flight. I don't know how to confirm that, but I took a photo even of the flight to show that like every seat was filled. It was a full flight, and it's filling, and it's getting closer to looking like everyone is on the flight. And the seat next to me, the window is open. No one has sat in that seat. And I kept looking at Cinder and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, of course, of course, of course. It was funny because I was excited, but I also like wasn't even surprised, because I was like, of course. And then they made the final announcement that the flight was fully boarded and the seat next to me was still open. Literally was like the only open seat on the plane. It was a full flight. It was exactly just as like magical and miraculous as the restaurant thing. There's no logical, like a full flight, a full restaurant. It was just like perfect little bookends of mini magical manifestations. And then the whole trip was filled with other like little fun mini miracle manifestations, but it was just so perfect. And so then we were able to move next to each other, and I was able to get a window, and it was perfect. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to like update you guys, like share a little bit about the trip and just give you like a little update, talk about like our little fun Paris manifestations. Yeah, just kind of like have a little mini bestie chat. Update you on our case and everything with Cindery's green card. Honestly, I'm still kind of out of my flow, to be completely honest. Like, I know I kind of talked about it last week. I'm in the middle of another up level. And so, as you know, they just kind of like take you down and then shoot you back up. So it's been good. It's definitely almost complete. I'm moving a lot of big pieces. I had a really healing inner child meditation earlier this morning. So I am just in like kind of like raw emotional place, because there's just a lot of energy moving. And it's just funny because I was thinking about just like up levels and timeline shifts, because it's funny because every time you go through one, like you start to feel like you don't know anything, right? Like you start to feel like an imposter again. You start to feel like all the same challenges that you thought that you went through already. You start to feel like challenged with things that you thought you overcame and things that used to be easy, right? Like right now, it's like hilarious. I was saying to Sandra, I was like, feels so dumb. I feel like a total beginner again. Like I'm literally right now coming up against, like kind of like I talked about in the last episode, like new levels of like self-expression, like afraid of showing up fully, afraid of being seen, like afraid of even coming in, like recording the podcast episodes. I'm feeling so much resistance to even just posting content. I said to him yesterday, I was like, oh my God, literally right now, I feel like my next like step that I need to lock in again is like posting content consistently. It's like, I feel like such a noob. Like this was like way back in the beginning. That was a hump that I got over. Like that's not been a problem for me, you know? And in a way it can feel like, oh my God, I feel like I'm back at square one. Like how am I literally like afraid to like, like be vulnerable or express myself or do this or do that? I feel awkward like showing up this way, or, out of the habit of posting content. I feel resistance to it. I'm overthinking this and that. And it's like, haven't I like done this already? And it's like, yeah, you have. Right? But when you're up leveling, when you're shifting timelines, right? When it feels like you're back at square one, it's not that you're back at square one, it's that you're at square one of the next level, right? And so I just want to like highlight that, because again, just this like a little bestie chat, and like this is what I'm going through. But I feel like it's a really important perspective to be reminded of, is when you feel like an imposter, when you feel totally lost and confused, when you feel like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm back at square one. Have I even made any progress? That is literally the sign that you are in the next level. Like you're at least in the transition, right? Because you've played out that other level. You've mastered it. So you've mastered those things, those blocks, those challenges at that level, right? Those skills, that level of leadership and expertise, you've mastered it all, right? Now you're at the next level. So of course you're going to feel lost and confused again, because this is brand new territory. You have to learn how to operate now under a brand new paradigm. That's what the new timeline is, right? The stuff you used to do, the beliefs you used to operate by, the habits you used to have, the actions you used to take, the things that used to work, right? The blueprint you used to use to navigate life and challenges, the blueprint you used to manifest, that's not going to apply anymore. None of that is going to work anymore because you're in a new paradigm, right? So it can feel like, oh my God, everything is breaking, everything's falling apart, everything that I thought I knew is now not working. And that can make you feel like, what did I do wrong, right? Like, how am I going backwards? But it's like, no, actually, you're just going forwards, and you just have to now discover the new ways, right? The new beliefs, the new actions, discover how to show up in this new level. It's literally like a video game. I know I make this comparison all the time, but it's literally like in a video game. I specifically remember I used to play this one video game with my brother called Mappy. I don't know if anyone knows it. And basically it was just like, I don't know, this little cat thing, and it would like go through these like whatever, there were all these objects, and you could get points by going over the objects, and there were all these other little cats that would like chase you, and you couldn't like, you know, get caught by a cat. So you were trying to move through the level and get as many points as possible without getting caught by a cat. And there was a very like specific path basically that you could take that would maximize the amount of points you get and prevent you getting eaten by the cat, right? But the only way to figure out that path, right? The only way to master the level is to start playing the level, and you would immediately get eaten by a cat because you don't know where to go. You don't know where they're coming from, right? But then as soon as you get eaten by the first cat, then you know, okay, well, I went left as soon as I started the level and I got eaten. So now I'm not going to go left. I'm going to go up, right? So then you start the level and you go up and you survive a little bit longer and you get a few more points, right? And then you get hit, like you get eaten by another cat. And so you're like, oh, okay, I got eaten by a cat here. So now I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to go left, and then I'm going to go right, and then I'm going to go here and go there. And you start to learn how to navigate by trial and error, right? And you eventually get to the point where we got to the point with that where it's like, we like basically perfected and created like this blueprint of like exactly how to play the level, exactly where to move and where to go to maximize the points. We mastered the level, right? It was like, this is exactly how you go through it. To where like there were no more changes we would make. We were just playing the same level over and over, just as perfect as possible. And then we'd get to the next level and we'd start the whole process over again. And so that's really what I was reminded of when I was thinking about this, because like that's really what it is. You're at the next level. So you have elevated, right? You have progressed so much, but it's going to feel like you're starting over because you are. You're just starting over at a higher frequency. You're starting over at a higher timeline. You're initiating into this new level of leadership, this new level of mastery, these new skills, these new beliefs, this next level of expansion. Right? So it's kind of like when you think about the process of expansion and growth and shifting timelines, it's like you're a small fish in a big pond, and then you grow to be a big fish in a small pond until you expand outside of the pond, which is like when you shift to the new timeline, right? And then you're a small fish in a big pond again because you expanded into a bigger pond, right? And then you eventually grow to be a big fish in that pond, and et cetera, right? So yeah, I just thought it was like really, I don't know, like it's not like I didn't know this before. I know I've made like the video game comparison before, but I just feel like I was looking at it in a whole new way this time because it was really like, I don't know, I feel like it's a bigger timeline shift. Like I feel like I'm completing a bigger cycle. Like the shifts that I've had over the past year and a half within like my business and personally, and just like since I started my business, they've been all kind of like within this grander cycle. And I can really feel right now that I'm about to like lock in this shift into this next timeline that is like really completing a much bigger arc and a much bigger level of expansion and like a bigger identity shift. And I'll just share a little bit too about, like I said, the themes really for me are like, it's really just, again, deepening in exactly the work that I teach, of course, which it does make you feel like, I'm like, man, literally right now, exactly what I talk about is expert energy, confidence, authentic self-expression, inspiration, intuitive content flow. And I'm feeling so blocked with like flow. Like I was like, what do I talk about today? Like, what do I talk about in content? I feel, like I feel stuck with it. And again, it's just because I'm deepening in my own work. And I really like to point that out because I have clients talk about this to me all the time. Like imposter syndrome is such a big thing that comes up. And I always am just like, when you feel like an imposter, that is such a green flag. Like, because it is just a sign that you are deepening in your work. And again, the fact that you even have the awareness to feel like an imposter just shows what an expert you are. But again, remembering too, like we all go through, we're all gonna have ups and downs. Like I talked about a few episodes ago in the beginning of the year, like you're never gonna be just like on all the time. You're never gonna be in your expert energy feeling 100% confident and like, yeah, I'm the shit all the time. It's just not how it works. So I just want to validate that. And I also want to like point out too that it's like I can be in this and feeling this, but notice how I'm witnessing it. And yes, I'm spending time with the emotions again. Like in my meditation earlier, I was like totally sobbing, right? But I also can hold both and know that like that's not my truth and not attached to it, right? And not actually let it bring me down and be like, again, like I don't let it affect my actions, right? Like I still show up and do the podcast. I'm still showing up and serving my clients and doing my practice for myself and posting content and like posting on my stories. Like I'm showing up and taking the action. I'm not letting the fear, I'm not listening to the voice and being like, oh, I must be a failure. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about, right? I notice it. I'm like, okay, how can I give some love to this part of me that's feeling this way, right? And what's the lesson here that I need to integrate? And then how am I being called to show up to embody this next level of self, this identity that I am stepping into that's causing all of this, right? So just a little note on like how to navigate it when that does happen is like acknowledge it, witness it, observe it, recognize it, don't attach to it. Right? Take the opportunity for healing and growth and self-love and self-forgiveness and really focus on your embodiment because that's really what it is like, again, you're in that shift and you're in like the new level, right? You don't have the map. And so the worst thing you can do when you get to the new level, I think about it like you just moved to a new city. Now you're trying to navigate the new city with the map from your hometown. Right? So if you try to move through the new level, right, when you feel super lost and confused of what is going on with the actions and habits and beliefs that got you through to this point, that's not going to work because those are for the old paradigm. You know what I mean? So you have to really trust the process and just allow yourself to not know. Right? That's the biggest thing is like you have to allow yourself to be like, okay, I'm here. Like I'm going to just take it day by day. I don't need to try to get myself back to that level of expertise and mastery that I felt when I was still at that other level, that previous level, right? Because it's going to take me a while to grow there because I'm at this new level I'm being initiated to. So the last thing I want to say on that is obviously like this level is also very related to my relationship with money and my finances, kind of like I talked about last week. But a really big realization I had yesterday in terms of like this shift from the old paradigm to the new paradigm. And so I just wanted to speak to this epiphany I had about money specifically because I think it's really, really powerful. And I know a lot of people need to hear it. I don't know how many people it'll resonate for because it wouldn't have landed for me like 6 months ago. I wouldn't have been at the frequency to receive it. But for anyone who is ready to receive it, it was really powerful realization for me. So up until this point, I had never had a problem manifesting money that I needed or wanted for anything. Like I basically always manifested just enough to get by, to cover my expenses, to cover like whatever investments I wanted. Like it would always come through. And so I had developed this belief of like, it'll always come through. And so I started to really get frustrated near the end of last year where I was like ready to really up-level my financial situation. And I was like, I'm ready for overflow. I'm done with it's just enough, always enough. I was like, I'm grateful that it's always enough, but I'm ready to shift into that next level. And so I did a lot of subconscious excavation around my beliefs around money and overflow and safety and expressed a lot of repressed anger. And I mean, it was a lot and really shifting my subconscious desire to actually desire overflow and not desire like the living on the edge and just having enough to get by, not using urgency as the motivator for money to come through, right? Which is this part of this bigger shift of shifting from driven by need to driven by desire, right? Which is probably a bigger topic for another episode. But so I did a lot of work with this. And so basically what started happening is the money stopped coming through. Like I used to always, and this is the thing is it's really the shift for me right now is it's not about the money. It's about my financial stability and my relationship with money and with my finances. So before I always had enough money, but my finances were so unstable and unpredictable, right? So as I'm shifting now into true financial security and security within myself and financial stability, right? I'm really shifting just attracting money to actually creating wealth. Let me say that again. I'm shifting from attracting money to creating wealth. And that was such a huge breakthrough for me because I was like, why did the flow stop? Like, what did I break? Like, why am I not manifesting that? Like, it's always come through. I've always been supported. What did I do wrong? I thought I would always be supported. Like, why is the money not flowing in? Why is it not coming how it used to? And when I had this breakthrough, I was like, oh, it's because like I am stepping into this next level of financial leadership now, to where it's not just, oh, well, the money will always come through for me. It's, I am truly taking leadership in my finances now to actually create this sustainability for myself. And that is the level up. And so when I talk about the paradigm shift, right, of how you can't play by the old rules anymore when you really shift into a new paradigm, it's like before I was playing in the realm of just attracting money, which was an incredible skill to develop, right? Like there's a level before that where it's like the money's not coming, right? So it's not that that wasn't something to be grateful for and something to be proud of. Like I was manifesting the money and it got me to this point, right? But now I'm stepping into this new level of actually creating, holding, and directing wealth, which is a whole new level of true financial leadership, right? It's like the universe is saying, okay, you've mastered manifesting enough to get by. Now, what happens when you step into true financial leadership, right? And I really realized I was like, it's not about the money for me right now. It's about who I am being, which it always is. It's always about embodiment, right? But I know that a lot of people deal with this, and I've talked to a lot of clients about this who are in similar financial situations where it's very much that they're still in that paradigm of I'm driven by urgency and the money will always show up when I need it and I'm always supported so I don't need to worry like it's going to happen. And this is really the level I'm realizing now as I'm expanding into this that you need to be in if you really want to create wealth and be a leader and have stability in your finances. And it's the shift from money shows up when I need it to I know how to create and direct wealth at will. It's a shift into a new level of leadership, right? It's kind of like what I was talking about last episode of, I realized I was using, like I wanted the money so I could keep hiding, right? I was like, oh, well, the money will show up. So that means that I don't have to put myself out there more, right? But now it's like, well, you're at this level now. In this paradigm, you are the leader. So you create the wealth. So you show up, put yourself out there and take the action. You create the wealth and then you direct that. Like you are the leader now, right? You don't need to rely on us anymore. You get to actually be the co-creator of your reality. And I really realize it's funny because we always say you're the co-creator, right? You create. And it's funny because I saw a channeled message that really resonated with me. And she was talking about like, you're a seasoned, spiritually awakened person. You have really done the work and you're really, really starting to realize like, oh shit, I co-create my reality. And when I heard that, like the whole message really resonated with me. And then when I read that, I was like, what? Like, yeah, of course I already knew that. That's not news to me. What are you talking about? And then as I was working through this, I was like, oh shit. Yeah. It's like really taking leadership in a whole new way. It's like, it's so funny because it's like, I don't even know if this will land because it sounds like I'm saying the same words, but it's a different frequency. It's a different understanding of the same concept of like, no, you are the leader. And so it's like, you can't just be like, oh, the money's going to show up, right? You can't like be just relying on the universe if you haven't taken the leadership and told the universe like what you want, right? You're the leader. You choose, like, what do you want to be true? Don't wait for the universe to show you how it's going to work. Decide what you want. And I think that's the thing is like, we can often be afraid to claim it and afraid to say, and sometimes like, oh, wait, shit. I actually hadn't thought about it. I don't even know how I would prefer it to come in. Or, I actually didn't feel like I deserve to claim it that hard. I was just happy to have the money come through in whatever way the universe is willing to give it to me, right? But it's like, no, at this next level, like we are the creators. Power, responsibility, sustainability, leadership. Instead of I'm supported, right? Oh, well, I know I'm supported. I know I'm always supported, so I don't need to worry. It's I am the source of my own stability, right? That inner safety. Again, that's what it's about. The stability, the safety, the security, right? Finding that home and safety and source of stability within. So it's not like, well, universe will take care of me. Yes, we trust the process. We trust we are supported. And we're not like playing victim and helpless, right? It's not like, universe, come through for me. It's also balancing that with taking leadership of your own situation and grounding into that safety within yourself, being the source of your own stability. A big lesson that I learned at that previous level was I get to receive, right? I'm open to receiving, allowing myself to receive, right? So it was like opening up to being supported, letting the universe support you, allowing yourself to receive the money and allowing it to flow in and trusting that process, right? But now the shift going into the next level is instead of just I get to receive, it's like I get to receive and I get to lead. I get to build. I get to expand and be a part of that reciprocal process. It's really just an overall shift in worthiness. Shifting from the version of myself who just makes enough to get by into the version of myself that, again, is driven by desire, not need, not urgency. And relating this back to what we talked about last episode with the visibility and the validation is like not needing to make the money for validation or to feel safe, but making money in a way that allows you to take up space. Truly stepping into the identity of a wealthy woman, not someone who just manifests what she needs, someone who manifests from desire, someone who is rooted in overflow. So if you are someone who manifesting money has been like a sticky point for you, I would really look at what level of leadership am I at? Like, what are my current lessons with money? Am I still learning how to let myself be supported and believing that I deserve to be supported, right? Am I still learning how to trust the process and learning how to open to receiving, right? Am I at that level where I'm manifesting just enough to get by? Are there still lessons I need to work through there? Or am I at this level, because this is why I'm sharing this, because I was stuck at that level for a while and I was like, man, I'm so ready to break through. I was like, I'm just manifesting enough to get by. I'm done with it. And I will say the first thing I had to do was really go to my subconscious and have a very open conversation and be like, what do you love about this? What are you getting from this? Why do you like this? And like, what do you need? How can we find common ground so that we can shift into actually seeing value and benefit and joy and desire in overflow and safety and not being motivated by urgency? That was really a paradigm shift I had to make. So number one, I say go to subconscious and ask, why do you like this? You know, I realized because, again, any situation that you have in your life, your subconscious wants it for a reason. So it's like, what are you getting from this? How can I give this to you in another way, right? And how can we get on the same page? That really is what initiated this shift for me, was really going into subconscious and being like, why don't you want this? Again, there was a lot of repressed anger that I had to express and release and process, and energy that I had to alchemize to actually shift to the place where I was ready to enter this new paradigm. And now I'm here, like I'm in it. Like I said, you guys, like I'm in the shift. It's almost complete. I can feel it, but I'm still in it. So I'll keep you updated. But I wanted to really just bring that story and that kind of personal share. Number one, because I'm, again, just kind of like out of flow. And I was like, I don't really know what to talk about other than what I'm going through right now. And number two, I want to keep you updated because I know we talked about it a little bit last week. And I feel like that breakthrough was really powerful. And I think it'll hopefully help some people to just not only understand that paradigm shift in terms of finances and really what it means to be rooted in overflow and what it means to be embodied in financial leadership and embodied as a wealthy woman and to create wealth versus just manifest and attract money. That creation and leadership versus attraction, two very different energies when it comes to manifestation. And also because I wanted to really share that perspective on imposter syndrome, because I'm really feeling it for real right now. And I just really want you to know that no one's immune, and to see that perspective of like, if you feel it, like it's totally normal and it doesn't mean anything, right? Like hold it alongside your truth and just be with the emotions and just navigate it and really focus on, okay, I'm navigating this by embodying that new version of myself, right? Again, if you're in the new city, you don't have a map. So you got to let go of the old map and recognize I'm not going to find a new map before I start exploring the city. Like I'm not going to have the map to explore the city. I just have to start walking and start making the map and discovering the map as I go, right? So I was thinking, oh, I'm going to do a Bestie Chat episode. And I was like, actually, nah, maybe I'll just do a Q&A. And I came on here planning to actually do a Q&A. And then I was just going to tell you a little bit about the Paris trip. And I ended up just doing a Bestie Chat anyway. So there's your rep. Next week, actually, I'm going to do an episode with Sindri again. I think we're going to do like a fun question game or something, just because I love when he's on the podcast. You guys love when he's on the podcast, and we're together. So I figured, why not? And plus, since I've been, again, just a little blocked with my flow of inspo lately, I figured that would be a fun episode for everyone involved. So that's all I got for you. Love you so much. Thank you again, as always, everyone who messages me your thoughts and questions and feedback and responses about the podcast means so much to me. Just number one, that you all listen, that you take the time to listen, and number two, that you get something from it, that you get value, that you enjoy it, because again, that's literally the only reason why I do it, is because I share this to help myself and to help you. I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know that I go through it. I want to share the wisdom that I can, the wisdom that I've gathered over the years. And my biggest desire and hope when I put out these episodes is just that something in here will be the exact thing that someone needs to hear. And that's why I do it. So when I get those messages from you guys, it really means the world. It really warms my heart, and it helps me keep going, especially through times like these. So I love you all so, so very much. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing day or night wherever you are. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.